We begin with 4 aces and some random cards. 4 sets of 4 cards. To assure absolute fairness of this peculiar exhibition, please note that all the cards are different. Note that these aces are dealt down in no particular order. It does not matter which or where, but only that each ace is separate from the other. All remaining cards go on top. 4 sets of 4 cards with an ace at each bottom. Make your selection. Gone. Gone, and gone. Like birds of a feather, they do flock together.
So we've come to the last leg of the journey here. This last DVD has some of the more, I would say, complex pieces of what you're sharing.
All right, if you say so.
If I say so.
Well, you know how I am. Sometimes I can't tell which ones.
We know how you are, but do we know who you are? This is Armando Lucero, and I'm Christopher Rose. I'm here representing Sans Minds and all of the people at home that are watching this, and here to just kind of help everybody understand your work. And
yes.
Since you're teaching it to me, and hopefully I can ask you the right questions.
Hopefully, yes. You're playing everyman.
Good. So, Merlin's Aces.
Yeah, Merlin's Aces.
Yeah.
Shall we get started?
I think so.
Okay, so we need 4 aces, and the routine has already started. Because even though it looks like I'm doing nothing, I'm actually conditioning them so they are familiar with this move, which is going to be used as a bottom deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically showing them all the cards. I show them all these cards. Now at this moment, what I've actually done is tucked 1 card in between. Mm-hmm. So I do this by keeping a break under 1 card. As I show all the cards like this, I start out with a fair showing of the cards, and then at this point, as I collect these cards, I get a break under 1. I pick up the second packet. I spread these out. What they don't know is that I've got this one in a pinky break.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tuck a few cards, just the 2 cards underneath.
All in the act of just showing them.
Yeah, so I just quickly spread, and then I tuck those 2 cards underneath. I coalesce these, I put them underneath.
So now I'm actually turning over 5 cards.
Yes.
Because I have the one that was tucked in the
Right,
middle.
right.
And then this all goes.
So what you should
underneath.
have is this kind of display. So that card is second from the bottom.
So from top to bottom, there's now 5 face down cards, a random X card that's face up, and then 2 face down cards.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I got it.
And then you continue, and again, we're losing the subterfuge in the middle, where I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you do the same thing here,
Mm-hmm.
and throw them on top. You finish with the 4 aces. Now, the 4 aces is important that they go on top, because you want them to be absolutely certain that they are definitely on top. So make sure everybody sees this as you lay them on top. We're going to do some bottom deals. They should not know that they're bottom deals, but we are going to do them. We're going to start out with a fair deal.
Mm-hmm.
That gets them started. And then a bottom deal. Now this can be either a take or a push out, whichever you favor. In this case, I'm going to do just a take.
When you say...
I'm not using my middle finger to push out. I'm just basically taking this card and kind of pinching it out and pulling it out.
So very similar to the small packet double deal.
Oh, very, very similar. So
in the
it's doing
sense
this.
that my right hand is doing all of the work. My left hand's doing nothing except coalescing the card on top.
Now the advantage of a take is that there's no finger, very, very slight finger movement of the left hand. The only finger movement is that it moves out of the way. But even that can be taken care of by moving diagonally away, so that instead of opening the fingers, you're moving the packet away, so the fingers don't appear to be moving at all. So this just slides right out.
And you do something that's unusual in the sense that most magic literature seems to disagree
Which is
with
what?
this idea. The idea of having the card, I have the packet in my hand, and then instead of coming away,
keep the left hand
you keep
still.
the left hand still, but also rotate very slightly.
Yes, well,
you're coming
I
off.
realize that this is part of the subterfuge. I've met people who move their left hand and say, please move the left hand. I met people who only move the right hand, and they both argue with each other. What I found is that they both work successfully. So what is it that is working for each of them? And I combine the best of both worlds, but this is my take on it. What's actually happening is that if you move only with the right hand, then there's obviously less heat on the left hand doing anything. So that's a good thing. But the problem is that you're not getting enough speed to cover the stealing of the switch. So the left hand is utilized for some people because now you've doubled the speed. You're taking the card and
I see.
removing the card. So the problem is that now which hand are you watching? The left hand or the right hand? Because they're both going in two directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind
so,
of neither. I can't
Right, right. So that's a problem. It's a conflict. But that can be solved. So what you do is you just put more movement on the right hand than the left hand. And so this overtakes the left hand. They follow the right hand mostly, so.
Wow.
And that kind of solves the problem. Anyway, you can also do the push out too. I mean, they both work. So there's an ace, push out, ace, and then push out. And so this is what we end up with.
Okay. So the aces are on top from right to left. An ace, a bottom deal, an ace, a bottom deal.
Yes. Well, we can review it again.
Sure. No, I'm just making sure I'm following.
Okay, so then I have this configuration, and then the four aces go on top, which they should definitely see. Otherwise, it's going to be suspicious afterwards. And then I start laying these down, either a take or a bottom. Right now, I'm just doing a push-out bottom. Unlike some of the routines that I've seen where they do all the bottom deals to get the job done all at once, I left a few to deal with because I want to create an affirmation. In this case, I'm going to pretend like I need to move this ace.
As if you made a mistake.
As if I made a mistake, or not so much a mistake as I'm changing my mind. I want to move it somewhere else. What does this do? Well, if they are suspicious that anything happened at all, at this moment I kill that suspicion because I show one, they believe all. They see that all are still here. And when I put this up here, because I did two bottom deals, I now have that indifferent card face up just where I want it, ready for a double deal. So now I reach out, I move this like I need to, and I'm ready for the double deal, so I execute the double deal. I move this, and now I'm able to lay this one so fairly down without doing a bottom deal. They see it.
And once again, the subterfuge is lost in the middle of the action instead of the moment
between
of magic.
the movement of these two. Yes. So now I have these cards face up. Now what they don't know is I have three aces here that I'm going to set elsewhere. Actually, exactly where there is one ace left. Now if we look at the configuration now, you'll see there's one ace here. I know where that is because I put it there. I'm going to start laying the cards down casually, and I don't start with a subterfuge in the beginning. As usual, I'm going to lose it somewhere in between, which is going to be here. And now I'm going to do bottom deals, and I'm going to do the take. So I lay that there. I lay that there, and that's an ace. But notice that's the same card that they supposedly saw go here. What's interesting, psychologically, they follow the line of the movement from here to there. Very often people think when I teach this that they're going to catch this. They don't. Even if they're staring right at it. They're not looking for these cards anyway, so it doesn't mean anything. These cards are meaningless. It's just a bunch of busy noise in them. But they're watching the movement, so it's hard for them to focus on every specific card. So it'll go right by them. I'm pausing there. There shouldn't be any pause. But because I'm teaching it, I'm pausing so you can see everything. At this point, you can do a number of things, but an equivoque force is good. If you're not familiar with equivoque, there's many books on it, so I won't talk about it. But basically, you are forcing one packet for them to assume that they chose. And then you can show that all the aces have gone, or you can slap your hand to show some magical moment has happened. Anyway, you show these aces. I mean, this ace is gone, but this ace is gone, and so has this one. At the end, you display all the aces have moved to one packet. And that's it. Shall we review?
Yes, please.
If you have any specific things I should go over, let me know.
No, I think it's a great teleportation. I mean, the concept is that we have each ace is isolated on its own.
Yes.
You affirm my knowledge that they really are there, and then they all teleport to a chosen packet.
Yeah, a packet that they chose. So there's more magic if you get them to choose it, supposedly. So the beginning is important, although some people may miss the importance of it. So I'd like to go over it. The laying of the aces, evident that I'm just displaying the aces, but this part is often missed. This is the conditioning of the bottom deal movement that I'm going to be doing. I want them to get used to this. I want them to become familiar with this feel so that they know that it means nothing. At least right now it means nothing. Later on, I hope they keep that feeling that it means nothing, so they don't think anything suspicious is happening. So that's what this is. It's a proactive conditioning of that movement.
And visually, you're educating me that this is just how I deal cards.
Right. So I'm not just conditioning them. I'm always trying to get multiple jobs done at once. This is a nice display. This is an education of 4 single cards in each packet. It's definitely very clear what is happening. So I'm getting many jobs done at once. And now I pick them up and I display them. But this is also conditioning. And now I'm doing a tuck. And so they've got this card at this position.
And so far, that's the only subterfuge.
That's it. That's it. And it looks like I'm just showing that these are all in different cards. That's all. And it happens pretty quickly, so it doesn't take up much procedure. And then the aces go on top. From here, I can either do a push out or a take, as I said. This time, well, I'm going to do a push out for this one. You can do the take or the push out, whichever one you're comfortable with. I lay an ace down. I lay an indifferent card down. I lay an ace down, an indifferent card down. And the rhythm is always continuous. I don't change it. Everything should be similar. And notice that I'm able to pull the card away as I do this. I'll do it again because I think this is important. So it's going from here to there, but I'm able to pull the cards away.
And you've worked hard to make that rhythm
this is not. This was not an easy thing.
Yeah, you're making that look very easy, I should say. And I've worked on bottom deals a lot, and
there we go.
It can take some time before you get the rhythm to be the same of a bottom and a top.
And some people wonder about the bottom finger push out. It's noticeable. Well, sometimes we become burdened with knowledge, and we start seeing things that other people will not see, and then assume that everybody can see it. It's not true. Once you reach a certain level of knowledge, you start thinking everybody can see all these little minute things, and we forget to think like a layperson. They most likely will not see that movement.
We should say there is one exception, and we've talked about
Which is what?
already, is if they're filming it.
If they're filming it, yes, then you got to be very, very careful. Yes.
This may be, again, all the material on your DVDs is really not meant for...
None of it.
This is for real people in real time.
Yeah, none of it is meant for camera, because if they have a sense-making tool like a video and a rewind button, then they can back engineer, and if they have one idea of how it may be done, then everything falls apart. It's just too easy. Sleight of hand was developed with ploys to close doors of suspicion that weren't meant to withstand rewind. Most close-up almost all close-up is not really meant for rewind. It won't stand it. It will fall
All
apart.
sleight of hand is basically sleight of mind.
Yes.
Not sleight of camera.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that our situation is such that people need to display their stuff on video in order to work, and that's just life today. But I wish it wasn't that way. Anyway, from here I'm just acting. I'm going, oh, let me move this, and then I do the double deal. Let me move this, and then I move that there, and the subterfuge was lost in the center. I turn this over, and now I'm going to do a bottom deal to this card. So these are all fair, and these are all take bottoms. I could do push-outs too. It doesn't matter. It depends on whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just trying to show you the differences here. Now we can force this packet, whichever equivoque method you want. Show that the ace has gone from here, the ace has gone here, and gone there. And then at the end, all the four aces. Voila! And there it is. Shall we play a game of three-card Monte? A joker here, a joker there, and one queen center stage. Follow the queen while I mix them up. I'll make it easy. Which one is it? Of course, that was just a warm-up, but are you ready to play for real? Okay, once again. Adding two to confuse with some sharp repartee, keep one eye on your muse and the other on me. When this medley is muddled, choose 1, 2, or 3. Consequently befuddled, you may lose the bet. Inconsolably huddled in painful regret, your time will come round. However, not yet, because now if you've found your magnificent queen, it is time to expound. Is she here or between? Boom! You were bound to be wrong, but could not have foreseen. Where she did not belong, no way, yet there, all along.
Don't play cards with strangers, kids. No, I'm just kidding. No. So, three-card Monte.
Yes, three-card Monte using three cards, and two of them are the same.
And
I just use two jokers.
And the actual Mexican turnover.
Yes, which, I've never really seen it done with the Mexican turnover, and I thought that was odd that everybody talks about Monte and the Mexican turnover. Well, where's the routine? I haven't seen it. Maybe there are some people out in the corners of the world doing it, but I thought I'd put one together for myself, and something that I can share with other people as an exercise for the Mexican turnover. Yeah.
And yours is the first one I've ever seen.
Really?
That has the Mexican turnover in it. I'm a huge fan of three-card Monte. As you know, three-card Monte
Yes.
routines, but this is the only one I've ever seen that actually uses the Mexican turnover in an effective and deceptive
Yeah,
way.
and this is just like a one-phase part. You can elaborate, but I'm only going to show just one phase, and then you can take it and elaborate on it if you like. So we're going to start out with the Queen of Hearts and two jokers. We turn them over like this, and this part is actually a conditioning, so I don't really do anything. I mix them up like this, and you know where the queen is, because I didn't move it. You know where the jokers are. So that served as a proactive conditioning to take the heat off of the actual subterfuge, which is going to look very, very similar, and they will assume the exact same, which is the flipping of the cards. Okay, so now I show them the Queen of Hearts, and I do what they think is the same, when actually I've already exchanged the card. And the Mexican turnover was already done.
So yeah, let's go over the Mexican turnover
Okay,
itself.
let's
think.
pause here and just go over the Mexican
we should
turnover.
talk about the move, I think.
Okay, so you want to hold it in the first finger and the thumb. And I've seen lots of people do versions of the Mexican turnover. Mostly I've seen it done with two hands. There's no need for two hands. You can use one hand alone. In the pictures where they describe the Mexican turnover, they start out on the right side. I have learned through experience that it's better to start out on the left side. And you go from the left to the right and then back underneath and do the Mexican turnover. What this does is it gets people to look one way and then it forces them to look the other way, and they just can't keep up. It is sort of like a football player running through the field and trying to avoid somebody tackling them, and they kind of give them a fake going one way and then turn the other way, and of course the tackler is falling on himself because he just missed his target. It's the same thing here. You want them to miss the target. Basically, you want them to assume they caught everything, to scrutinize when they didn't. So they're too busy going one way, and then you come back the other way, and they can't take it. And it looks like this. And what is that? What I'm doing is I'm holding it with my first finger like this, and the corner is going to dig underneath. When I aim, I'm aiming to just above here so that they end up like this in my fingers. And the momentum is going to bring me to this position. Now I'm using two fingers to explain this so that you can see it in slow motion. You shouldn't need these other fingers to hold on. When it ends up in this position, you see that it arrives with my middle finger of my right hand holding the card above, and then the bottom card, which was the card that you held in your hand previously, is now going to be flipped over. Using your first finger, you lightly release. And notice that I'm moving in a curved manner, going up, not going through. Because when you turn over a card, that's how you do it. So you're mimicking what actually really happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say do it for real, so you can get a feeling of what it's like to actually turn a card over by flipping it. And you'll notice that you will go in, stop part way, and then go up.
It reminds me a little bit of your muck.
Oh,
just
because
in the sense
I'm
that there's
yes.
there's kind of this shovel that has to happen. It's another one-handed thing, and it relies on speed
Yes,
in
it
order
does.
to get the correct grip.
Yes, it does. Remember, you start out here because people tend to remember the first and the last picture.
Mm-hmm.
So even in this micro moment, we are losing the subterfuge in the middle. They start out here. They end up expecting to go that way, and then you fake them. They can't keep up, and you come back, lose the subterfuge in the middle, and you finish here. If that happens, by the way, like it can actually still be good.
It's actually nice.
It is nice. In fact, sometimes I use it as an affirmation. Then I can turn it over very slowly, and the two get mixed up in their memory, and they assume the fairness was the real one. So here's on purpose. Again, on purpose, I make a mistake.
It is very difficult to do slowly.
It is.
I'm noticing.
But if you're going to practice it, put your hand on the card. Start out on this card to the left of the card you're going to change. Come to this position, and you're going to go in a circular motion, in a curve, with this corner aiming to go underneath. And the momentum should be fast enough so that you can reach this point without using two hands. and you have enough room for the middle finger to catch the card underneath, now you exchange by releasing the first finger here. This is difficult to do because you have to figure out the speed and then come up. Sort of like a J. If you do the mix and turnover with 3 cards, and I'm going to switch the 7 of diamonds. Okay. So which card would be preferable to change after what I just said about first picture and last picture? Where should I lose the subterfuge? Well, I don't want to do the change here because that's the first picture. I don't want to do the change there if I'm going across because that's the last picture. Instead, I'm going to lose it in the center. So that's proactive conditioning. That is in the middle, and that's a retroactive conditioning. Altogether, they work very well to bookend the subterfuge.
Wow. It's very, very convincing.
Oh, I think so, but it should never be used directly. It should be used indirectly.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work directly. No matter how good the visual illusion is, people will still consider that there might have been a switch. So there's nothing to, I mean, if I just do it directly, there's nothing to counter that. So it should be done indirectly, which I will show you in a moment.
Okay.
All right, so now I have these 3 cards. And the queen is going to do some conditioning. So I purposely teach them the effect. I talk about 3-card Monty, and I say it's usually done with 3 cards with 1 different, and it's the Queen of Hearts. And we just turn them over like this. And that was a conditioning of what I'm going to do when I actually use the subterfuge. I move these around just like I would in the real routine. And I say, well, this one's easy because I never touched the queen. As you can see, it's still here. And I still have an opportunity to add some conditioning. I move these where I need for the move to be done with the least amount of effort for my comfort. And now I'm ready to do this. And notice I start in the left here, and I go up, and look, I've already got it. And I'm not going through. Notice I'm going up, just like I said.
I see. My eye wants to follow.
Sometimes people want to do that. I would say don't do that because it's going the wrong way.
My eye is following your hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they should assume it's the same thing. So instead of having the cards face down where you don't want to show the card, this one is similarly done, except you're going up and showing the back, and not going through. Now I lay it down here. Okay, so I have a queen here, but I'm going to insert another affirmation. I go, well, right now is very easy, since you know that's the joker, this is the queen, and that's the joker. So they saw 2 jokers, and I should have done that in the conditioning as well. I actually forgot. That should have been in there too, to do the exact same thing. Because the more they get it, the more familiar they are, and the more they start to expect the same thing. So that would be good. Okay, so now you're ready. And I just switch these around and make these the focus. If they choose either one, they're going to be wrong. It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
That's the surprise, because there's no way that could have been the queen. And then you're done. That's it.
It's great, man.
Yeah,
It's
I think so.
A real 3-card Monty.
With
the actual Mexican turnover.
But as you can see, everything was done indirectly, not directly. So the queen was used to just supposedly turn these cards over, and no switching, as far as they're concerned, was even done at this point.
Just for explanation purposes, show me what it looks like when you're using it directly, where it doesn't work.
Oh, okay. So there's the queen, right? Watch the queen. Okay. So Which one do you pick?
And now I suppose I'm supposed to say
Yeah. This one?
yes.
Well, that's the Joker. I would have gone with I would have just said that's the Joker because I didn't have to switch. But let's
Okay.
say
I actually lost it. I'm not gonna.
yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Let's say they pointed
Yeah.
at the Queen, right?
Right.
Then I would do that, and of course they
I
go,
see. Well,
you just switched it.
100% of my focus is on
Yeah, that's not good.
what just happened.
So never use it directly, I would say. The mix and turnover is actually quite difficult. If I can give some more tips, I would say remember just a reminder, remember the first picture and last picture. Remember to start on the left side of the card that you're going to switch for, not the right. Remember that you are holding on with the first finger and the thumb and very gently guiding the card underneath here. When it reaches here, then you move very quickly. You have to move quickly to coalesce these cards into this position. At this point, there's an imperceptible release of the cards, an exchange of pressure. You're releasing with your first finger the lower card while holding on to the top card. This should not be done in this way. None of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of people doing that. That is a big tell. I see people doing this. That can be suspicious too. But the starting on the left side is really what solves the problem. They can't follow the line because the line is broken. There we go. And if you have, like I said before, if you have 3 of them, then you bookend the subterfuge in the center. I'm going to switch the 7 of diamonds. So here they are, all 3. And you have this one. The way to practice is really important. Don't try to bulldoze your way through this by trying to get it the first time and go really fast. I would say start out slow. Use the left hand to help you to understand and grasp every bit of the information so that you learn it properly. Put the fingers here, and now insert this card. When you get this point, pause on purpose. Pause. Think about where you're going, how fast you have to go, where the fingers have to go, and what fingers are going to be released, how they're going to be released. There shouldn't be any movement whatsoever. The thumb shouldn't move. It should just be an imperceptible, small change of pressure. One of the things that I suggest is that you pause here. Pause. It makes no sense in real performance, but this is a very good learning tool. Because when you pause here, you are forced to consider what is going to happen. You take the time to consider what's going to happen. And you're going to aim properly this card going under. So you go like this, go under, now pause again. Think about what's going to happen. When you're ready, complete it. After a while, maybe a few weeks, you will securely hit that almost every time. That builds your confidence. After a few more weeks, the pause between here and actually executing to complete it will shorten until finally you get to this point. And notice that I'm not really trying to bulldoze my way as fast as possible. You'll notice a slight pause here, and then I go fast. A slight pause, and then I go fast. So that is a small cheat that most people don't notice that helps build my confidence so that I can do 30 shows without ever missing. And that actually has happened. The beauty of perception is that it always entails self-deception. Some people think magic is evil, that the earth is flat and science is just someone's opinion. I merely deliver the information, but you as the receiver are responsible for interpreting it. Have you ever lost your keys and thoroughly searched where you know they should be? Maybe your pocket? only to give up and emphatically convince yourself that they are gone, as if mysteriously vanished. Then later, to your surprise, you discover they are exactly where you previously looked, inside your pocket. You just did magic to yourself. Are you evil? If someone observed you doing this, are they evil? What I do is no different, and best described as the art and science of perceptual engineering. I study the mind to help free us from locked perspectives. However, if you still think me the Dark Lord of Sorcery, then I have little power to dispute such unbiased intellectual clarity of reason. But maybe I can show you something to question it. I will recreate the pocket scenario, and you have the option to watch or not. Take heed that if you choose to observe, then you are complicit in your own deception and therefore responsible, since the only way you can experience the magic is if you yourself perceive it. Please say stop whenever you wish. To be certain the choice is yours and yours alone, I will remove 3 cards from where you stopped. Decide carefully which of these you really want. From the deck you found 3, from 3 you chose 1. Consider the 2 you could have chosen because later on it will perplex you. Remember your card. Now imagine it lost. Before I was born, I made a prediction and placed it into my pocket. Does this look familiar? It should, since it is the very same card you chose but no longer in the deck. In fact, neither are these. I deliver, you interpret. You may reason a probable possible, so I will now push for a probable impossible. Please sign all 4 cards. And to distinguish the original, circle your signature. Now you can recognize them all with absolute certainty. To continue, we lose your card before we find it. Wait. Reverse that. We find your card before we lose it, hence a temporal paradox. Is that your card? It is, and no longer in the deck. Let's start over, with not just 1 but all 4 this time. Losing each and every card inside the deck. Only to be found in all 4 pockets. An event so absurdly crazy it is both improbable and impossible. All thought is fallible. For every time you witnessed magic, your mind failed every time. The beauty of perception is that it always entails self-deception.
I think card-to-pocket routines are sort of a staple of lots of magicians' repertoires.
And a classic.
Yeah, they're a classic, but you've brought a lot of interesting things to the table here in terms of how this one works. So I think we should get into it and talk about some of those things.
Okay, so first of all, we're going to start out with 4 cards on top. Mm-hmm. How you get them to the top could be through calling, or you can cut to each of the cards and then shuffle them together as if you are just making a mess until you shuffled all.
Oh, I see. So like if I wanted to get all the 7s, I could cut it a 7 here.
And it looks like you're
cut it a 7 here,
yeah.
and I see. And then just having somebody shuffle them.
Right. So that's one way to do it. Or you can call them as you're talking casually to people and removing the jokers,
Sure.
and then put the jokers away. So that'll be your thing.
Well, I'll make my life easier, and I'll call the 7s to the top so I can follow along with you. All right.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
It doesn't matter what order they are, but just know that one of these is going to be used to sign. Is going to be their main card, and then we're going to sign all the cards. But one is going to be remembered most. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter which one. But if it matters to you, you're going to want to put it in a certain place. Mm-hmm. That would be the second card. Okay.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me. At this point, I am going to act like I'm shuffling the cards, and I'm going to keep a break. We basically do this force where you ask them to say stop. Wherever they stop, you actually cut where the break was.
I feel like there's a lot of material that talks about
that so I don't
force.
think I'm going to go over this.
Sure.
You can find it in many places.
Or use a force of your choice.
Use any force of your choice. Another force, if we want to talk about it, is we can do a classic force with the stop force like we went over. Mm-hmm. I say, just tell me when to stop.
Stop.
No. Right? And now I can cut there and just lay these cards down. That's a nice force. There's so many. You pick the one of your choice, but this is the one that I'm going to use. Is basically asking them to say stop.
Stop.
And see, that just went beyond where my break is. It doesn't matter. I come here, I go down, and I get rid of the evidence by putting it underneath. And now I deal 3 cards down, and I tell them to be certain. I would like you to choose where you stopped. So I'm removing 3 cards. This is interesting to me. This is so subtle that some people may miss it, so I want to explain it a little bit more. When you have a whole deck of cards and you're asking them to say stop, it is overwhelming how many cards they could choose. So they're not really, they're concerned with having a free choice, but they're not really scrutinizing the way they normally would when you lay 3 cards down to choose. So ironically, yes, they are very concerned, but it's too overwhelming for them to be specific to scrutinize. When you lay the 3 cards down and you show them 3 cards and ask them to choose one, they are scrutinizing like crazy, and they really, really believe this is truly their choice, because it is. But what they don't know is that any choice they make is going to be the card that you want, because it doesn't matter which one they pick. But the purpose for this is to make them think that they just chose any card in the deck. So it is an education of impossibility when you finally do the magic for them, to arrive at the card of their choice. You truly want them to believe it's completely their choice. So this is important. And remember, you started with a random deck, you called the cards at the top, and as far as they're concerned, this is a completely free choice. To make it even stronger so that they are sure it's a free choice, one more thing is going to be added. Let's say they chose the middle card. And remember, it doesn't matter which card they chose. You pick up this card, and you say, are you sure? And they say yes or no. It doesn't matter. You could change the cards if you like. But what they don't know is that I've already got a break under 3 cards here.
So you have the 3 spread out.
I have the 3 spread out.
And while this is happening and you're asking them to make the choice, you get a pinky break.
I get a pinky break. All the focus is on these cards right now. Mm-hmm. So now I have my 3 cards, which means I have 1 7 here and 2 indifferent cards. Mm-hmm. I pick up this card and I put it there. I pick up this card and I put it there.
Assuming that they chose the middle card.
Yes, okay. Yes. They can still change their mind if they like. And now you want to make sure that they believe absolutely that this is their choice. So you make sure that you give them every opportunity to understand it is their choice. Do you want to change your mind? Now they're sure. In the scripting, consider the cards that you could have chosen, because it's going to bug you later why you chose that one over all these three. Okay, so now they see these cards. They are completely different from what they're going to see, which is a 7. And what that does is create an affirmation of free choice.
Mm-hmm.
So you put this on top here so they don't see the thickness. And this one, if you have the deck beveled already, pre-beveled, you can be pretty confident to just let them go and turn them over. Mm-hmm. If they are not that way, then what you want to do is you want to get a pinky count and turn them over like that. Depends on the way the deck is conditioned. And you'll know ahead of time if you just warm up a bit. You can also precondition them ahead of time just before you do this effect. So it's got a nice little bevel. But now you're set. They believe that they should believe absolutely that this was a free choice. If you did all that, there should be no doubt. At this point, you show the card. Make sure they remember. And I'm getting a pinky break under 3 cards. Actually, what they are the 7s. I put this on top, coalescing everything. Now I'm going to do the Harry Lorraine hop again. Now there are many ways to do this. If you're wondering why I'm keeping the Harry Lorraine hop, is because I'm trying to be consistent so that you can apply very similar moves to all the effects. But you can choose whatever you want. You're basically losing the cards in the middle. They think it's only 1 card. And right now I have the 4 cards still on top with their card on the top, very top. I'm going to look for something, a prediction. I tell them this is a prediction before I was born, right? Mm-hmm. So actually I start out looking for the card before I say it. And while I'm doing that, it gives me time to get a break under 5 cards. So this is the 4 7s and 1 indifferent. I got a break and I'm looking here. I got plenty of time because I'm looking here. And now I palm the cards as I am changing hands. Mm-hmm. I'm doing the palm that we discussed before. So I just move over here. And I reach into this pocket. Nope, not there. Before I was born, I made a prediction. Now I bring out the card. In fact, do you recognize that? It's the same card, right? I laid that down, and it's the very same card because it's no longer in the deck. In fact, neither are these. And I pull all these out, which is...
This is a really strange moment.
A now impossible moment. How the hell did I know?
Yeah, you're kind of saying, not only did the card appear in my pocket, but I knew what it was going to be, and my proof that I knew what it was going to be.
Or I instantly got all those cards. They could be thinking many things. Yeah.
Sure, I guess depending on how you're scripted.
Yes, right.
Wow. With yours, the script is kind of that this is a prediction, and that the remaining 3 are just proof of the prediction in case they doubted you.
Yes. Yes. So now I have all the cards, and I reach into my left pocket. I take out the pen. I tell them that this is we're gonna move this into a probable impossible. So I have them sign all the cards. Now you could have 4 different people sign it. You could have 1 person sign all of them. It's up to you. They sign them all. You put the pen aside. And remember, their main card is the 7 of Hearts. So I set that down and I do a drop switch, move these aside, and I've already switched out 1 card, so I have 1 of the 7s here. And I say, you know what? To distinguish this card from all the rest, since this was your card, I would like you to sign this one a little bit more by putting a circle around your signature. Right? All this is just a ruse. Or I should say, just to give yourself a moment so that you can do the Laurie poem. Okay? So I'm going to steal the top card. While they're occupied putting a circle around their signature, which is not going to take them very long, I do the lowry palm and put it into my left hand. So I have it here. The lowry palm, you can find books on that too, videos even. You hold the deck in this position with the thumb here, the middle finger there. It's very, very up high. And what you're going to do is you're going to use this thumb to move that card and peel it off, while you reach over simultaneously with the right hand, like this. And so there's a lot of cover here. Your sleeve is holding it, your left hand is covering, and then you move forward, keeping the left hand still in the back. You don't move the left hand away, you don't run away. You just move forward, lay that deck down. You can even lay it up like this. You can flash the bottom so it takes the tension away, or you can move it up like this. I usually do this. That takes the tension away. And I leave this hand still. And I come back. Notice how much I bend the card.
Yeah, your hand is quite closed.
Some people are very protective of their cards. I'm protective of my show. I want to make sure I do a good show, so I'm not worried about the card so much. I can always put the bend back. I can bend it back. I'm concerned of my hand looking suspicious, so I don't want it to look suspicious. So look how closed I keep it. Yeah, I don't want it to look like I can hold a card there. So this is better than, for me, than holding it like this. So I just bend it. I can always get a new deck for another show. Okay, at this point they've finished, supposedly. You take the pen, you're talking to them, so all attention is up here. And now when I take the card, look what happens. Simultaneously, I'm bringing attention to the card, and I'm showing them the card while I'm putting this in my pocket. I put the card into my pocket while I'm talking about the card. All attention is on the card. This should be insignificant. I put that on top, and I tell them, first we lose the card, display my hand empty, and then we find it. Reverse that. First we find it before we lose it. Wait, is that your card? So it's kind of a nice moment where you can talk about temporal phenomenon.
Sure.
But it's a nice scripting to give me an excuse to go back into my pocket.
So you reach into your pocket, pull out the X card.
X card, yes.
And just show the back of it, presuming that I presume that it's the correct card.
That's the hope. Now you've already lost the card in the middle. They have to believe that. Otherwise, this is going to be more suspicious. So I show my hand. The card's been lost in the middle. I show my hand. I reach out. I reach into my pocket. I show the back. That's the indifferent one. Only a second, and they go, what? And I do a one-handed top palm. So I've got it here. I reach in. Pause for a moment. Does that look familiar? I put it back in. And I remember where it is so that I can grab either that one or the other. I want to grab the X card later, so I remember the position. And I say, look, it's definitely the same card. It's not in the deck.
Sure, and it's signed. I mean,
It's
there's
signed,
no way
it's
I
signed.
can question you.
Yes. They believe this is why I'm doing it. The truth is I need it back in that pocket so that I can switch it again. Now I tell them, let's do it again, and I get the other card, the X card. I say, but not just with your card, but all four. So this gives me an opportunity to put this down here and show these. So that's actually kind of like reaching for the box. So it's a pattern interrupt. Instead of going, look at your card, it's going in the deck. So I'm saying, I'm not paying attention. I'm just assuming they know this is their card. Instead of just using one card, we're going to use all four. I cut this in. And I try to keep everything similar, but now I show this card face up. And when I come up just a little bit, I'm actually going to slide that card off like this. So when I come up, they don't see that I'm sliding off. I complete the cut. The 7 is still on top. As I come down, I get a break under one card. I pick this one up. I do similarly, show the card, turn it over. And now I'm going to do a double undercut. And I think I spoke about this before.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's 2 cards here. When I reach over like this, I release that. So it ends up being held in this position right at the crevice of my first finger and third finger. I riffle down about halfway, and I put this at an angle like this. So I've got 2 fingers like bunny ears, and I bring down 1. So I have 1 finger left. I release from underneath the break of these 2 cards. I put this on top. It goes in a diagonal once again, and I now have the first finger on top. You could see everything is skewed, and it's tiered. So from here, I literally just put it into my palm. The misalignment of the 2 packets allows me an excuse to do this. So they don't see that I've put the 2 cards into my palm.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I move the deck away from my palm. I don't move my palmed cards away from the deck. So I do that. The last one goes in very fairly. All the attention is going towards the moving hand. Mm-hmm. There. From here, I bring the attention to the right hand, and both hands come back together. As this hand comes cupped to this lapel, I grab with my thumb, but I've got the cards wrapped around, all around here. I reach in, and I'm going to slide out 1 card. I slide 1 card out, and I kind of take the bend out as I take it out. I look here, I drop it as this goes down and moves out to this direction. I put the bend back. You can't see it, but what I'm doing is I'm taking my palm and I'm putting the bend back so that it looks normal. I take that out. I lay it down. If I need more bending, I can do that as I lay it down. I reach into my pocket. This one's very bent, so I can actually take it out while I'm bending, returning the bend. I put that down like this. I've got 3 cards. As an excuse to move the cards, I move the deck from where it is. But really, I need this so that I can move the deck, because I need the deck in my left hand. From here, all the heat is on the last card. The more heat, the better it is for you.
Because you're so far ahead.
I'm so far ahead. And they don't know if there's any other surprises coming. They think this is it. They're anticipating the last part. There's going to be a lot of heat because they're wondering how the heck you were able to put those cards in your pocket. They were signed. Now you reach in to the last pocket. What they don't know is that on this side, I'm dropping off the entire deck. And I reach in, they're all looking at this card. You bring it up here, you bring out the left hand as if you're still holding the deck. And they see that, the finish.
Mm-hmm.
Now you look at it again and put it down here as if you're just collecting the cards. They think you're done. You wait a moment. When the time is right, the entire deck vanishes. You display all the single 7s. You pull out this deck, right? And you show another deck. So this is a deck switch without the 7s. Since you forced those sevens, you knew it was going to happen. And now you have a deck switch that you can go into another effect. Since you have a group of sevens that you knew ahead of time that you were going to force, there is an opportunity to do this effect in a different way. One of the ways, the simpler one before the jacket one, is that you preload your jacket with duplicate sevens. Not the main seven, but duplicate sevens in this pocket, and this one. So you would have duplicates of, say, the seven of diamonds, seven of spades, and the seven of clubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you only have them sign this one. So this way you can fairly lose the sevens, all the sevens in the deck, including the signed one. And then when you're ready to do the magic, you don't have to do any sleight of hand to take these cards out. Just only with one, you pull these out so fairly. And, oops, I lost it. Where'd it go? Well, I have the other deck.
The whole
in there,
deck is in
so
there.
I'm getting lost. But you pull out all the sevens. Ah, there it is. Okay, so you got all the sevens. And then you end up with a deck that has no sevens, and everything is so fair. I preferred assigning all the cards for the very reason that they may think that. So this way it closes that door. About the jacket. Okay, this is one that I haven't done. I probably won't do it, but I do thought experiments sometimes, and if there's anybody out there that would like to do it, this is an option.
Sure.
And I'll tell you the reason why I don't do it. But when you finish removing these cards, well, before you even begin, you actually ask a gentleman if he can help you out. You bring him out and you exchange coats, right? So you take your coat off, he takes his coat off, and you do the entire routine with his coat. Make sure that there's nothing in his pockets. Mm-hmm. And this is very nice because what they are going to think, the audience, is that, oh, he's showing us how fair it is by doing it with somebody else's coat. Mm-hmm. All right? When you're finished, since they don't know that you forced all the sevens, mm-hmm. and you only have one, then what you have is one signed card and three sevens. At this point, you can lose all the cards back into the deck. You can use the method that I spoke about in another routine where they all go back to the top of the deck, right? And I missed one. That wasn't very good. I was too busy talking. As you can see, if you're not focused, you'll miss it. But they go back to the top of the deck, leaving their main card on top that's signed. Okay. And now, for the big surprise finish, you ask the gentleman, by the way, would you like to check your right pocket? Which is now my jacket that I gave him, right?
Which was preloaded with the sevens before you even started.
Inside the coat pockets are the sevens. Inside the right pocket is a wallet. Okay? And he takes out a wallet, and everybody's going, oh, phew. And this is where you load the card. You do the wallet.
Sure, card to wallet.
Card to wallet, but they pull it out of their pocket. You load it from the top of the deck, and you pull out the card, or maybe you keep it saved for the moment. In the meantime, you have the wallet in their hand, and then you say, but check the other pockets. And they check the other pockets. They pull out of the sevens, and you leave this one for last. And then you open this one up, and that's a signed card. And those are all the sevens. And you end that way. Mm-hmm. When you take the wallet back, you collect the extra sevens and put the wallet away, and you're clean. So all these sevens are gone with the wallet. So that's another option. It's not my style to do it that way, but I can't help it have thought experiments.
Sure.
So that's the reason why I don't do it. It's just too much for me. I prefer...
no gimmicks.
Yes, that's the point. There's nothing wrong with it, but I prefer the challenge of doing it without gimmicks. But that's just my preference. You may have different.
Yeah, everybody has to find their own way, I think.
Yeah. So that's it. Is there anything else that I should explain? Did I miss anything?
I think it's an excellent card-to-pocket routine.
Okay.
And has a lot of unique thoughts and ideas.
All right. There are some moves that I would advise that you look up, and that's the Lowry poem. There are some people that go into that very deeply.
And a one-handed top palm.
One-handed top palm, but there's so much material on that. I would say it's best that they go look for that material because it's already been spoken about so many times. Plato surmised that learning is merely coming to recognize what we already know. It would explain why we can communicate and stories appeal to us. But what do we know? Consider the matrix. Remember these quotes? Is that really air you are breathing? What is real? How do you define real? You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Ironically, this story triggers recognition of what we do not know. We experience the universe peeking through a tiny hole of vision with our limited capacity to perceive it. So if we can control the view, then we can skew the experience. And I will. But communication requires a familiarity of ideas, and the Matrix is an excellent mythology to reference for this particular skewing. Shall we go down the rabbit hole? Please, I would like you three to each select a card and remember. These aces represent, like the Matrix, a conscious realism. And they will each sit here in waiting until you wake up. The deck is the world you know, with each of you lost in it. If and when you are ready, you will awaken. Within a prison of truth, or a sanctum of lies. You see others awaken too. You are not alone. What strange comfort we take in sharing such stark awareness while paradigms shift and sleep beckons. You may wish to return. We only seem to know what we need, filtered further by assumption. How then can we ever truly know anything at all? We struggle to be free and dream the tortured bliss. But knowledge becomes illusion, and therefore our burden. With this rabbit hole so dark, perhaps a different story is preferred. We seek for answers like best fit shoes, while truth remains elusive if not fantastic. However, I promise you escape from these aces once and for all. Alas, refuge is found, only to wake within another dream. You see, I kept my promise, but sometimes the appropriate response to reality is to go insane. At least, I am not alone. Okay, Collector Sting uses 4 aces, so you take them out any way you want before you start. You can be talking. You don't have to say much about these in the beginning. Just set them aside and create a curiosity if you like.
Sure.
And you just set them aside for the moment. I usually like to show them and just drop them down this way because that's going to be a proactive conditioning for the move that you're going to use with the subterfuge. So this is nice. Drop them down like that.
So that's mimicking a drop switch that's coming later, but you're actually not.
So you're making them familiar. They become familiar with something that was supposedly odd, if it was odd at all, And then it's not so much odd anymore once they saw that nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You asked them to, you asked 3 people to remember a card, so they stop you at wherever they want. And you're showing the 3 cards like this. After they got their 3 cards, you show them one more time. What I'm actually doing is I'm getting a break under one card like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see the cards, they do. Now, it doesn't matter if I see the cards, but I don't want to see the cards because I want them to think that's the reason why I'm dropping them down, so I don't look at them. I put them here like this and I do the drop switch.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, this card is switched, right? I have one card that is theirs on top. I move these to the side for display like this. I come over here with a break under their card, and I gather the aces, put the deck away, and now I have all 4 aces here. While I'm talking, there's several ways to do this. I can spread it like this and then tuck one under, but the one that I'm using is using the double deal. So I just single out one. I just do the double deal for one, but it's a nice display of showing single cards. So there's one ace, there's another ace, and it looks like they're just 4 single cards when one is actually a double deal. It's the second one. There we go. And it's the second one on purpose for the display that comes next, and I set these aside. So now you bring the deck here. I casually let them glimpse at their card.
Mm-hmm.
This is an affirmation that it really is their card. And now I act like I cut it in the deck and push it in like this. But what I've really done is I've kept a breather or a break that I can find again right there. And that's their card.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get the break to happen?
Okay, so I slap the deck in this position, and when I move it, I apply pressure down, and that leaves some cards sticking out here.
I see.
So
So
I'm applying
it's
pressure down.
off to the side toward my right,
Yes.
and you're pushing with your right hand, and the left hand catches a block on
Yes.
the bottom, and I move my right hand forward while maintaining the pressure.
Exactly.
I see. And
Okay.
yeah, I have a pretty big thing sticking out there.
Yes, so now you put your thumb here,
Mm-hmm.
right thumb there, and this first finger there. You don't put your thumb there. This is where they're going to pop out. And now with the thumb of the right hand here to the back corner and the right finger here, and this first finger blocking, you push in. Now what happens if you look down, you'll see that there is a break right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so small, it's barely imperceptible. There's also a break here that you can grab. But that leaves the opportunity for you to cut where you just put that card. So they think it's lost. Now I don't show the face of this card.
Which this is the X card now.
Yes, and it's lost in the middle.
Mm.
Okay? And I cut the deck back, but bring the Ten of Hearts, or my card.
So lift up at the break, and you cut, which now brings the first selected card to the top of the deck.
Yes, and you could lose the X card because it doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have their card there, which was exchanged for the X card. And now I like to put a bevel like this to prepare for this next up the ladder. And I show them this one.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, you begin by showing them the card, losing the X card in the middle, and then showing them the card again.
Mm-hmm.
And what that makes them feel like is that they literally saw all their cards shuffled into the deck. Now I'm going to do an up the ladder. I take the top half and I put it on top like this, but because of the bevel, I have a way to track the cards. You can see that They are beveled and sticking out on the sides, very easy for me to track. And so from this point, after cutting, I lift up with my first finger half of the top half.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a fourth. And I grab here, just where it was marked by the bevel. Okay, and I pull out. I've still got a break. I can feel it. This part goes back down so it doesn't look so obvious that I've got a break.
Mm-hmm.
I come back and I pull the remainder of that top packet onto the deck, and everything's back to where it was, and I have the 2 cards still on top. All right, so now I'm set. Their 2 cards are on top. One of their cards is between here. And I do the magic. After that magic move is done, I can spread the cards. While I'm spreading the cards, I'm getting a break under 2. They have no idea what happened. How did I get there? And I have 2 cards in break position here. As soon as they are astounded by what just happened, I take that opportunity to take hold of these cards and let this deck drop like that. That makes it offset. Now, I don't do it that much. I'm just showing you. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, but really what you want is you want something very subtle like this. So I just hold those 2 cards and let the deck drop. And I'm going to do this obviously so you can see it. It shouldn't be this obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It should be smaller. But I want you to see what's going on. So I'm leaving it like this. And you've got 2 cards, their cards on top. You collect these. And now, as if you are showing them with more clarity that there's no other cards in between, this motion is a conditioning. Now you pause here, spread, that's a surprise. And remember, these cards are just above. And look how your hand is cupped. And it's right above. And now when you display this, they're going to be in shock. It's their card. And that's the opportunity for you to reach down and grab 2 cards. I coalesce these cards like this, and they should not even remember you came near the deck. I'm going to do, well, it's kind of Ascanio-like, but it's not completely because I'm using so many cards, but you'll see what I mean. I remove the ace from the bottom. I remove another ace, from the top. I remove another ace from the bottom. I move this up. I remove 1 face-down card there, their card. I come back. I remove another ace. Oh, sorry. I didn't pick up 2. I was too busy.
It's okay.
Yeah, I should have picked up 2. So it should be 2 cards. And it goes like this. There, and that's the display. And notice how this one pulls out, but that one has the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have 2 that appeared. You coalesce these together, and now you have 3 that appear. And it's kind of like they happen one at a time. And I think it's a nice display. It's a nice way to educate them about the impossibility. Now they should have no idea where these 2 came from. They can't recall any connection to where you could have gotten them. And you show them the cards are really theirs. From here, you pull them out and set these aces aside. Now you take the deck and you're going to load them back into the deck.
And they're reversed.
And they're reversed on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What I've just done is push them out just a bit, just like we've done before. These are pushed out slightly. I'll do it again so you can see. So I keep them close together, but just enough spacing for people to think I'm just losing them anywhere in the deck. And they pop out there.
Mm-hmm. Diagonal palm shift like.
Yes, by a diagonal palm shift like. From here, I keep the cover for the back so nobody sees, and I break off an upper packet, just above where all those cards are hanging out, and I move this down. So what I actually have is that. You can see that it's just above the three. There are 3 cards, and I pause there to grab the 3 cards along with the packet and steal those 3 cards. So I make sure they are taut and nicely packed, because I'm going to do a faro shuffle. And when I do the faro shuffle, I put my little finger there, and I have my first finger on top. And if you want to get a book on faro shuffles, that's probably the best way to learn it, because there's a lot of material on it.
And there's many ways to do it.
A lot of explanations on it. I'd rather not take all the time on that here. So you're going to get the 3 cards, and you're going to faro these cards in, so that this is just the 10 of hearts is covered by 1 card. So let me get that in. There we go. And this is what you have. There we go. And they see that shuffle as though you're truly mixing the cards up. But what you really have is this. They're intertwined in between the other cards. I'm going to do a pinky count with 2, 4, 6, 7 cards to mimic the cards that we did before, the aces with the cards in between. So I have to do a pinky count with 7 cards. When I do that, I have time, because I'm going to reach over there while I'm talking, and it's part of the script. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I spread these out. And they're kind of like, whew. If he did it there, that would have been awesome. But that's impossible, right? And I am going to get into this position, which is preparing for the top packet switch, which we discussed before.
Yes.
I gather these aces, and notice that they don't see this until I get to this position. They still can't see it because I've got these aces on top. And I just go through my motion of the top packet switch. There, it's done. I now have the 4 aces on top. I have switched all the cards. Now what they don't know is that I did an E-packet switch. So at this moment, I can do some magic, show them that their cards are gone and where they have arrived. Now they assume these are still the aces. So that's an instant collectors. That's amazing. Now, a moment from now, they're going to start wondering if they really are the aces, but you're going to kill that suspicion as you collect them, and you either ask for their hand or you tell them you're going to put them there. And it's part of the script, so I say something about, we're really going to do it this time. You're going to escape from the aces once and for all. You show one, they see and believe all. Which is pretty cool. That's pretty affirming. Now here's the thing. They are looking to see you sneak out the 3 cards. But you're not going to do that. But you're going to pose like you're going to do it. So at this point, I get a break under 4 cards, pinky break, with my left hand while I'm talking. At this point, I'm going to reach over to my lapel, but actually I'm grabbing the aces. And I reach into my pocket and I pull out 1, 2, 3 cards. The ambiguity here is great because they're going to assume it's the very same 3 cards that I
just saw 2 seconds ago.
Well, I did it twice already, so they're going to assume I can do it again. But how impossible is this? At this moment, in their mind, they're thinking, no way. No way did he just remove the cards that we just saw in between. So you get this one for free.
Mm-hmm.
This one's pretty cool.
And the irony is they don't even know what's coming. And
They have no
the
idea what's
ending,
coming.
However good they think this is, the ending is so much better.
Yes.
It's so much better
Yes.
than this.
Exactly. But what's great is that you've inserted a surprise, which is just going to elevate this effect so much higher. But you're also getting what you promised. You're giving them what you promised, which is 3 cards. And their imagination is doing the rest, arriving at the situation that is impossible, that I just removed their 3 cards. Now I turn over the aces.
And now we're screaming.
Screaming, yeah.
This part, holy cow.
I go, what? And I remove the last ace like this to show them, it was all planned. I pick up these cards to show them their 3 cards still there. They want to see what these cards are. And they are the kings. To their surprise, a different reality. What the heck happened? And the script goes with it, because I tell them, the appropriate response to reality is sometimes to go crazy. It's pretty cool. It fits. Okay, so I should explain where these kings come from. So let's go back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can take me through the whole thing and
Yes.
just
Okay, we'll review.
just
very
review
quickly.
the whole thing and we'll talk about it.
All right. So this routine can be done on the fly. All the cards are supposedly lost in the deck. You don't know where anything is. I mean, truly, you have no idea where anything is. They're truly mixed up. So I'm going to reach over here and I'm going to skip purposely 1 ace. While I'm calling the kings, I purposely skip 1 ace so I can go all the way through the deck. And I remove the ace. Now they can see that I'm removing the aces. And they'll look for me too. So that's why you skip the first one. I move an ace. I move an ace. But this allows me to go all the way through in case I missed a queen.
A king.
A king. Yeah. I put that there. Okay. And I go back and I get the ace. Now I still have 4 kings. I have 4 kings on top. I'm going to give this one more shuffle and put 1 card on top of the kings. So what I do is I shuffle like this and I keep this packet and drop it under 1 card and shuffle that. Now that one X card is important because I'm going to use it for the drop switch. Okay, so in review, I take these aces and I just kind of show them and do what looks similar to the drop switch, like that. And this is fast motion for the review. They select 3 cards. I pick these up. I show them again. I lay them down, do the drop switch, move these to the side, keep the X card in the middle. I keep a break here. I pick up these cards, set this down, and now I do the double deal to show every ace as a single card. I come here. I flash that first card that is theirs, break right there. I immediately go to the next card. That's the X card. I cut where the break is. I like to keep a bevel for this next one. It makes it easier for the up the ladder. And now I have the 2 cards on top.
They're different.
They're different? Oh, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, this is just the explanation. So now I have the magic. So I go like this, drop it down. I'm getting a double here. And there's 1 card in between. To their shock and amazement, I have the opportunity during that amazement to offset the 2 cards. Of course, this is exaggerated. It should be much smaller. I pick these up, and as if to show and clarify, I do this, but that's actually conditioning. I spread these. All the attention should be here now, and even more so when I show this. So that allows me to drop down to pick up the 2 cards, add them. From here, I do an Ascanio-like move. That's 2. And that's all 3. All right, and you can see that the cards are now in between. I put them out as a display, and I set these aside. Now I insert these cards in the lower half of the deck and keep them pretty close together. They protrude out just a little bit. So I'm going to take part of the top packet, move it over so that I can actually collect those 3 along with that packet. And now I'm going to do a Pharaoh shuffle. And the Pharaoh shuffle is going to allow me to put them in between the 4 kings.
Which have just been on the top the whole time.
They were on the top of the deck, and now they are inserted here. Now sometimes this happens, so if that does happen, then you just look for it and you correct it. From here, I reach over here and I show that they are only 4, but I'm actually getting a 7 count here, like that, right under my fingers, preparing for a packet switch. From here, I do the packet switch. I lay these down, and the switches happen. Magic happens, and there's their cards. And that's instantaneous.
Pretty incredible
Yes.
if you think about it, in
I
terms
think
of
so.
what me, the audience, just saw.
Yes.
I mean, you just showed me 4 aces, sat them down, and now instantly...
Well, that's what
The
I
cards are
wanted, because I
changing.
wanted an instant collectors. And I wondered, how could I get an instant collectors? Now, this is pretty difficult to get, because there's a lot of preparation, and then there's a lot of cleanup. I wasn't sure what to do. And then the answer came to me, well, there's a lot of procedure in the beginning, a lot of procedure in the end. Why don't I turn those procedures into phases? And so they turned into pretty good phases, I think. And the last phase is a complete surprise, where I get that one for free because I don't have to do anything with this. So I at this point they're suspicious, wondering, maybe at this point they're thinking, are they still aces? So I grab this and brush the table or point there, and I talk about the fact that they are finally going to escape from the aces. I show 1, they see all. I put this down and lay them down so fairly. And now I'm able to get a break under these 4 cards with a pinky count. I count 1, 2, 3, 4. I reach over with my hand. I'm actually collecting the cards into my palm so I can reach to the lapel. I reach in and pull out 1, 2, 3, 3, and I stop there. At this point, they assume that I have just made 3 cards disappear from their packet. They might even be holding, if you ask them to hold it under their hands. This is really great because you get this one for free. They go there with their imagination. And then you reveal to them that they're the aces. Reach in here, pull out the remaining ace. And pick this up. Show them 3 cards are still there. They're wondering what the heck is this. And you show them the 4 kings.
For
Boom.
a very surprising ending.
Very surprising ending. Yes. Completely different than they expected. Took them somewhere else. The great thing about this is that the solution came to me because of a problem of having leftovers. What do I do to clean it up? How do I clean it up? Yes, I was able to get an instant collectors, but at what cost? Well, the cost was that I used different cards. At that point, I realized I can exchange them for actual kings, so then it makes more sense to keep with the theme. What would the theme be? Oh, a sting, a collector sting. I let them think that I'm going one way when I go a different way. So that was a gain for me, So here was a problem that turned into something very, very good. I always think that whenever I get a really difficult problem, I get excited because it means that the solution is going to be pretty damn interesting, if I find it. Yeah.
I have a feeling you will find a solution.
So that's it. Now, I should tell you that if you get a deck that's cut down one way or up the other way, you might want to adapt how you're going to do the Pharaoh, because that can be problematic.
I think everybody has to kind of play and find... I mean, you got to practice, obviously.
Yes.
You wouldn't recommend doing this routine with a deck you've never touched before.
No.
In front of someone.
No. And you should learn how to do the Pharaoh. And there's various ways to do the Pharaoh. There's another option, is that instead of doing it so the cards are on the bottom, you could do it so the cards are on the top and Pharaoh it. And you can experiment with that. But the point is that the Pharaoh allows you to get into this position with just 1 or 2 steps. And that was the whole point.
from nowhere. This trick has been sort of a staple in your performances for quite a while. Some version of it you've been doing for a long time.
I have several versions. But I think this one's most accessible to people, so I'm sharing this one. I think it's difficult to do a production, so especially close up. People do it on stage with card manipulation. I wanted to do it at a table, so this is one of the versions that I have. And it can be used as an addition to collectors, the collector's sting as well, and just exchange the ending for this one.
And we were talking about this off camera too. I mean, this could be a 4-ace production. It could be
anything
4
that you
selected
want.
cards.
Yes, it's
it
very
could,
adaptive.
Could be anything, yeah.
Exactly.
Or if you just want to make random cards appear,
that's true too.
That could be okay.
Yeah. So this one in particular is dealing with the one I'm going to start off with is just 3 cards. So you start out with a deck like this, and I do a little bit of this because later on they're going to see the same similar thing, and that's helpful to educate them that nothing's happening. Because later on, something will be happening. And I want to reduce that suspicion right off the bat. The deck should be here so that you can necessarily move it. And that's on purpose. So I move it out of the way and I point. While I'm pointing, I'm actually preparing in my mind to do a one-handed top palm. So it happens while I'm pointing, and then I move the deck over to my left hand and do a one-handed top palm. From here, I raise my hand. Now, in a real-life performance, you won't have the advantage of just having a camera in the front, which is a nice angle. People will be there, and you can see this. So when you do this in performance, you should have your arm extended out, or you should have your hand out like this, and that helps to cover the side angle over there, right? You have your hand out like this, and then you drop down. And it's nice to pause up above, and don't rush, don't go quickly down. And when you come down, you're going to rub just a little bit, but what you're doing is you're applying pressure. Now, if you can, it's not absolutely necessary, but I think it's better if you can include an affirmation so that the card sticks to your hand, and you lift up just for a moment and bring it back down. That's enough affirmation to really kill a lot of suspicion.
And there's no secret there. That's just static adhesion.
That's all it is.
Yeah, you're just putting pressure, and it sticks to your skin.
Yes, and people always ask, well, what is that? Why can you do that? Well, every hand is different.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of you may not be able to do it. The effect still works. If you can do it, I think it's just a touch better. And now very slowly, you want them to enjoy the magic, so you want to make it look like it's just appearing out of nowhere. And you do that. Well, while this is happening, you've already collected your a double. So you're getting a double here. And from here, you pick up the card as if you need to move it out of the way because you're going to do something else, and you wipe that off. That's what they read. The real purpose is to get a triple. So now you take your triple, move the deck to the side, right?
So just to be clear, while the first card is appearing, you're getting a pinky count on 2 cards on the top of the deck.
Yeah, they're busy looking at this, and when I'm making it appear is when I usually get my pinky count under 2 cards.
So now, when you coalesce, you end up having a triple lift because it's this card plus the 2 you had to break.
Right, and they think I'm just moving out of the way so I can wipe and do some more magic there. And then I pick the card up, and when I pick it up, I'm careful to pick it up in preparation to do the Kelly. Okay, so I pick it up, and now I'm focused on preparing the Kelly the entire time that I'm laying this deck down. So I lay the deck down to the side like this, and I do the Kelly, but what I'm doing is I'm removing 1 card from the bottom and taking 2 cards with my left. So I actually have 2 cards here. So I stole 1, and I've got it in cop position, which we spoke about before.
Yeah, it's the same concept as morphic resonance and
yes.
Art of Now effect.
Like this. Once again, I come to the same spot, and I drop. I do the same thing and make that card appear. At this moment, they see this card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is cop this card. I'm going to take one from the top. So I drop down at a particular angle so they can't see. And I peel off one card and place it down there. Now I use the table. That's just my choice. If you don't have a table, you can be in this position. But I have the table, so I'm going to use it. And now here comes that moment where I'm kind of doing a hand wipe again, but this time I have a subterfuge that I'm trying to hide, which is the card.
Mm-hmm.
So I put my hand here to show the right hand empty. I turn it over and I go right over the card. So you can see it's right over and now palming the card.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I bring my hand underneath my left hand and look at, I've got complete cover. I can show my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
As far as they're concerned, it's the same thing I did earlier. Now I come down to this spot and I make that appear. So when I turn these over, they can be any three cards. I just happen to have the aces. And because I have the aces, I also left one ace here so that I can turn over to finish it off.
Mm-hmm. And the cards that are appearing, they're all coming from the top of the deck. So
They're all coming from the top of the deck, so it's quite convenient. I'll do it again.
yeah.
So you can see that there's a reason for the cards to be there, so that I can have reason to pick them up and move them out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
as if to show them, look, it's all going to happen here, right? I do my palm. Now, I'm doing it for the camera, so I'm used to working for whatever audience I'm with, so I
Mhm.
don't worry about these angles right now. But if I were, then it would be like that.
Mm.
And then they can't see on that side. I'm also making sure they can't see on that side
Mhm.
as well. Now, notice I pause here for a moment. That really helps a lot. If I actually rushed, then I don't get that picture of them thinking the hand is empty. You know, it's hard for them to imagine that there's a card in your hand anyway. Now I drop down. And I don't like doing this fast. I like doing this slow, so I'm here.
Mhm.
Now this is the time when I'm getting my double. I've got it. Move it out of the way, clean it up, lay this down. The entire time I'm thinking of stealing a card. I steal a card. Pick up this card. I can look at it as if I have a reason for it.
And I should point out the aesthetics is important here.
Yes.
I mean, it's not accidental that these are in a perfect line.
No, no.
With the deck right here.
I am very aware of the aesthetics.
Mhm.
It's, for me, the beauty of the movement and the beauty of the placement. Also, being concerned with clarity of effect is important to me. So I leave points of reminisce for them,
Mhm.
so they can reflect upon the effect that just happened and think about it and let it absorb. I really, really want clarity of effect, but aesthetics is important to me. I mean, the clothes you wear, the color, the backdrop, the mat you use, the size of the mat.
For the record, all of this was on purpose too.
Yes. Yeah, everything is important. And not everybody's concerned with that, but for me, the look is extremely important, and the movement. You don't have to be a great dancer to look beautiful, to move. You just have to move well, or at least know that, recognize when something is beautiful. Just moving all over the place like this with no thought, is this going to look like you moved all over the place with no thought?
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm really concerned with movement and placement.
I can sense it from the people that are watching this right now. They're asking, so you made 3 cards appear.
Oh, can you do 4?
Can you do 4 instead of it being on top
yes,
of the deck?
you can. In fact, I think that's when you first saw me.
I did.
I did 4. Yeah. So yes, you can. Let me show you how.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everything works the same. Now, before you begin, there's no problem with doing this. If you want to add some stickiness to your hand, it only lasts for a moment, but it's enough, right? Because this doesn't mean anything to them except preparation for something magical. That's all they think, right? So I'm warming up my hands, getting ready for them to be sticky.
That does make a difference. I've
Yes.
never done that before. That does make a difference.
Now I'm ready. I point here. At this point, I am getting 3 cards now instead of 2. I make that appear. Everything works the same as before, except now I have more cards. Put this down. Same thing. Here, I have to negotiate pulling 2 cards. So I have only 1. 2 cards. Everything's the same. And this deck could be out of the way by now. It doesn't even have to be in play.
We just don't have the space. But
Right. This is important. I'm going to move this with this finger so that I can reach that point here. So I move this forward here. Now before I drop down, well, just when I'm about to drop down, all attention goes here to the side. So that's what they're looking at. And there's more movement on the left hand. I've actually dropped down right on top of these 2 cards. Now from here, I just move to the side, move that one to the side. When I come over here, I like to lift up with a sticky hand and then make that last card appear. So now I have 1, 2, 3, and 4.
And once again, the aesthetics
Yes.
matters. I mean, this was not an accident.
No, it
They're
was
in this
not.
configuration.
It was not. And of course, you can play around with this. I have different methods. What I like to do sometimes is make one appear, so that takes a lot of attention away, right? And then I make this one appear. I move that forward, make that appear. I brush here, and then make this appear. There's many variations. You've seen quite a few.
I have. And I'm sure after this, we'll see quite a few more.
Yes.
Yeah.